Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show today. We've got a great one for you guys this week. We have an interview with running back Brandon Mackey, who plays for the Ozarks Lunkers of the TAL. He's having an MVP caliber season and is certainly in the discussion for league MVP. And he's just had a really solid year over in Springfield, Missouri. So excited to chop it up with him and dive into his football journey in this season in the TAL. Then we'll also talk about the IFL action that happened this past weekend. Take a look ahead to week 19, the final week of the regular season, as well as taking a peek at what the upcoming week of the TAL has in store as well. But before we dive into any of that, it's social plug time. That's right. If you don't already, please make sure you're following us on socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. We're on Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok, all the things and stuff. So if you're on it, we're on it. Go give us a follow on there. Come say hi. Come join the conversation. Love to chop it up with folks as the games are being played all throughout the weekend. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello, thank you for being here. Please make sure you're liking the video and subscribing to the channel as well. Share it with a friend. Leave a comment on what game you're most excited about or what playoff matchup you're most excited about in either the IFL or the TAL. Interested to see what people are thinking. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure you're liking the show and rating the show page as well. I think you click through to the podcast page, rate it 5 stars preferably, and then go share it with a friend as well. Help grow this thing out a little bit and see where we can take it. We're wrapping up the indoor and arena football season, but we're going to keep this thing going throughout the off season with some fun ideas coming down the pike, and we're excited to get it going. So let's not waste any more time. Here's the interview with Mr. Brandon Mackey. All right, on the show this week, we have a running back who's been carving up defenses all year, making a strong push for the playoffs with the Ozarks Lunkers of the Arena League. His name's Brandon Mackey. Brandon, appreciate you being here and taking the time. How are things for you out in the Ozarks?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me on the show. And things out here in Ozarks is going pretty well. Pretty good. Just enjoying my new family out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been seeing you've been doing lots of team bonding over the past couple of weeks, especially last week with the bye week. Has Ozarks has the area kind of grown on you as you've been there throughout the season?
It actually have. Like I said,
Yeah,
met a lot of new people, a lot of new faces. Like it's ever since I got here in Springfield, it felt like I was home. So,
yeah.
I'm loving it up here in Springfield.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one of the unique things about arena ball, especially the TAL, is that it's in these smaller cities. So it seems like there's a lot more of a community feel with the fan base and with the team versus some of these teams that might be in a little bit bigger city in some other leagues, right?
Yeah.
Well, before we dive too far into this year and your journey with the Lunkers, I'd love to learn a little bit about your football journey. Like tell us where you're from, where'd you play college ball, and what ultimately led you to the Ozarks.
Well, I'm from South Georgia. I'm from a small town called McRae, Georgia.
Okay.
It's a small country town. I started off after high school. I went to a prep school in Huntsville, Alabama. I played for Tennessee Valley Prep. It was a
Okay.
small school. I went there for like a year during COVID, and then I was blessed with an offer at Justin University to go play there. NEIA played there. That's where I had my All American season. And
Nice.
after that season, I transferred to Kentucky Wesleyan and played my final season there. And now I'm here.
That's awesome. So, what specifically, like, how'd you find your way to the Arena League? Was it something where you got with your agent, and your agent was like, "Hey, this could be a good opportunity to show what you got"?
Actually, I was in class, and my agent hit me up. Was just like, this school, this team in Springfield, Missouri, hit me up and reached out about you coming to play arena ball, and they like your film. So at
Yeah.
first, I was just like, I don't think I want to play arena ball. I don't think I
Yeah.
want to do it. The field is so small. So I
Right.
was just like, I'd rather be outside. So my agent told me, just give it a shot. I wouldn't want you to wait out here and waiting so long, and then you be sitting out of football for a year. So
Yeah.
I was just like, I'll give it a shot. So ever since I got here, man, they got the Springfield. They've been treating me like family. The Ozark Lunkers, man. It's nice here.
That's awesome. What were you familiar with arena football growing up at all, or was it something where you didn't really discover it until recently?
Nah, I was not familiar with it. I'm just like when I looked it up, it was just like we was playing indoor, and I'm just like, all my life I grew up playing outside, so it was just
Yeah.
like 11-on-11. So I'm going here to play indoor football 7-on-7. I'm just like, I don't know. So
Yeah.
I sat down and prayed about it, talked with my agent, and I just said, I'll give it a shot. It'll be a shot, it'll be a great opportunity for me to get there and go ball and, and do my thing, and
Yeah.
hopefully I can get a call up. So
Yeah, that's the common theme from people we've had on the show in the past was the exact situation you described. It was like, well, I don't want to be out of ball for too long because otherwise you're sending tape that's 2, 3 years old at that point, and it's like, all
yeah,
right, is this still the same guy? Maybe, I don't know, but if you're able to if you're able to send some tape from this season, it's like, okay, he's got it. So it's
yeah,
cool that you're taking advantage of the opportunity there.
yes, sir.
Had you ever been to the Ozarks area before this season, or was this season your first time there?
This actually my first time here. I was always in Kentucky, so this is actually my
Okay.
first time here.
Yeah, it's not super far from where you went to college, is it? It's like what, six,
Nah,
7 hours,
yeah,
if that?
right at 6, maybe 7.
Okay. What's something about the area that has surprised you that you didn't really expect going in?
So, I want to say the fans around here, like I actually didn't expect like for this, like the as much as like the fan cares about football here, I didn't expect that. Like I didn't expect like a crowd to like all of the games. I didn't expect like to like a big crowd. I didn't think me personally. I didn't think they really supported like football like that. Because I'm thinking we in
Yeah.
Missouri. I'm thinking it's like they like baseball a lot. So I'm just it really shocked me though. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the cool thing about what the Lunkers have been doing is that they're getting real grassroots with their community engagement, and there's like, hey, this is the community's team, so it's
Yeah.
cool to see the support you guys have got. What are your thoughts on that? I don't know if it's the official team theme song or whatever it is. It's that Ozarks Lunkers. Yes, do you know what I'm talking about? That song that they put together.
Uh,
It's like Ozarks Lunkers. Yes.
Say actually, I haven't heard of that song before, but like when I first heard it, I was like, yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's nice and it's catchy and it's like this is so dumb, but it's so good. It's so funny. Yeah, I love that song. Big shout out to the social team at the Ozarks Lunkers. They really embrace the identity of who they are and with that theme song.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to dig into your like you as a player. Like what player would you say you model your game after the most, past or present?
Darren Sproles.
Okay.
Darren Sproles, that's like one of my top favorite running backs. Like every day, before every game, before every practice, I pull up and watch a lot of film of him. I study a lot of film. So that's a person that I really look up to.
Yeah. What about the game? What about his game in particular? Is it just the size comparison, or is there anything
This
that kind of like jumps off the page to you?
the his size, just like the way he runs, like even though he's the smallest man on the field, but he got a lot of heart.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's big about me. A lot of people, he's undersized, he this and that, but
Right.
I'm a guy, like I got a lot of heart. So you might be bigger than me, but 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna beat you. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you beat me. So that
Yeah.
so I look up to Darren Sproles, man. Him and another guy, Pacheco, Isaiah Pacheco, the running
Yeah.
back,
Okay.
Chiefs running back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I look up to him a lot. They both run hard. They both run hard, and they don't stop. They don't quit.
Yeah. I see the Pacheco comparison. I was thinking as you were saying, I was like, yeah, that checks out because I've seen some plays from you this year where you get hit and you're just not going down. It takes like 2, 3 more hits. It's like, all right, this it's going to take a whole village to get this guy down. So with the TAL, it's kind of a unique blend of arena football meets that 7-on-7 feel, like you mentioned. What was it like adapting to that new style of play, coming from that outdoor game where some things are the same, but it's also a little bit more of a wild card feel to it at the same time?
Actually, it was like it was a little different, coming from
Yeah,
outside, all playing all your life, and then coming to like a indoor facility. You playing on a smaller field. The rules are different. The
yeah,
rules are not the same as like outdoor. The rules are a little different, but it was just for the first time. It was a little different for me, but now I'm kind of catching the hang of it. I'm kind of getting the hang of it. So I mean, like I said, it was pretty different, but now
yeah.
I'm kind of getting the feel of it. So
Yeah, it seems like especially with the TAL rules, it takes a little bit of time to get into it. Like, okay,
yeah.
the quarterback can run here, but not here. He can dump it off here, but then we could pitch it back. There's all
Yeah,
sorts of crazy stuff.
yeah.
What are some things about the Arena League that kind of surprised you early on and might surprise people who were not super familiar with the league?
Yeah, I would say the rules.
Yeah,
It's a lot of new rules, like of course outdoor is different from indoor. It's like it was a lot of rules that I'm just like in the games, I'm just like,
yeah,
what? Wait, what? Like, because it's
yeah,
not to like sometimes we'll be in a game and like we on the sideline. I'm just watching like the opposite team going out there, and they just like I see somebody get tackled, and then I see somebody they'll throw the ball back, and I'm just like, this is kind of like crazy,
yeah,
but it's a rule though, and then I'm just like, you can do it. I'm just saying to myself like they was just like, yeah, you can do that. I'm just like, yeah, I'm
yeah,
confused. I'm
yeah.
so confused. Like I be a little lost out there sometimes.
Yeah, it seems like you do a lot of thinking early on, but once you get the hang of it, you just do less thinking and more going. And so
Yeah.
like as the season progresses, you're like, okay, I don't have to think about this rule and this rule and this rule. It's second nature. Like I got it locked in. So tell me about this Lunkers team. What's been working this year that's made this team as successful as it has been so far?
Man, I can say, man, like with this team this year, we got a lot of
Yeah.
talent across
Yeah.
the board, man. And one thing I can say, we got a whole lot of speed, a whole lot of speed. We got guys that
Yeah.
can beat you on the outside, any given day. We got guys like Matt Rush, guys like Emin Bryant, Devontae Key. We got two other receivers, Tom Butters, and Rodney
Yeah.
Johnson and KP. Like we got so much talent. We got so much talent on this team, and I feel like with adding Tyler, our new quarterback, to this, it
Yeah.
just make it just make the offense so hard to stop.
Yeah, adding Tyler, like you said, really opened things up for this passing game, and in a way, it opened things up for you on the running game because it made them think like, oh no, Tyler might beat us over top, but then here comes BMAC
Yeah.
coming on the handoff. He's gonna run you over. So it's like, what are you gonna do? It's like pick your poison at this point.
Yeah, you're right. So I feel like with Tyler into the picture now, it's so hard to key in on either me or him. It's so hard. It's so hard to
Yeah,
key in because got a good running back and you got a good quarterback. So which one? Which one you gonna
yeah,
take? So like I say, our team this year, man, we decent. We pretty good all across the board.
yeah,
That's something, man. Like I'm looking for us to go all the way this year.
yeah. You're certainly tooled for it, and you've been building all throughout the year and adding pieces here and there. Yeah, the wide receiver group you guys have is just really fun, and you've got some big guys on the
Oh
outside
yeah.
that can go up and get it too. So it's like, how do you want to defend this on Lunkers offense? Because no matter how you defend it, you're wrong because
Yeah,
they'll
you're
find another
right.
way to get you. So as unorthodox as the Arena League is, the Lunkers they found a really unique way to utilize you in a more traditional sense where a lot of teams it seems like a lot of backyard football just run around trying to make things happen, but there's like a lot of schemed running plays for you like as the first option. How do you think this year has improved you overall as a football player with your experience with this team?
Actually, I was talking with my head coach one day, and it was just like this league is not made for running. this league actually made for just passing, and I'm just like to me coming in this year, I didn't expect to for us to be running this, heavy like
Hmm.
we got like a lot of run plays, and I didn't even expect for us to come in and running a lot. I'm thinking we just come in, we just taking the top off, throwing, passing a lot, but it's just like with me coming in, I feel like it brings a lot to the team. Like I say, I mean, it shocked me because I didn't expect for me to come in and get this many carries,
Yeah.
and this for us to be running a lot like this. Like I'm me personally, when I came in, I'm just like, okay, so they've been having me out in empty a lot. We're gonna be passing a lot, and it's
Yep.
just it's just different now. So it's like we running a lot. So I'm just like, yeah, man, that's what I like to do. I like to run a lot too. Don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
can catch,
Of course.
I can catch too, but I prefer to run.
Yeah.
To make something happen.
Yeah, it seemed like at the beginning you were gonna like speaking on Darren Sproles, a lot of the catch it in the flat and just kind of make stuff happen, but they've been feeding you. And I was looking at the
Yeah.
stats earlier, and I think you have like 40 more carries than the next person on the stat sheet for the league. So it's like, all right,
Yeah,
they're not afraid to let it be known what the identity of this team is. So it's kind of cool to see, like you said, it's a pass first league, but when the others zig, you zag, and it's been working. So it's been cool to see.
yeah,
So speaking of cool to see, you found yourself on Sports Center earlier this year. Walk me through that play and how you found out that you were on there, because I'm sure that was a bucket list item to get featured as a top play on Sports Center.
yeah. So, like I told you earlier, like with the rule in this arena league, it was so new to me. So we was like, I think 4th and 15,
Yeah,
and I seen the quarterback going down, and he released the ball, threw it back. And so in my mind, I'm just thinking, do I just pick it up? In my mind, I'm just thinking like, okay, they're gonna blow it dead.
yeah,
So as the ball hits the ground, it bounces, and I seen defenders coming towards me. So I'm just like, okay, should I just pick it up and start running, or just let it go?
yeah,
So when it bounced, it actually bounced into my hands. So when I look up, I see a whole lot of defenders coming my way. So I'm just like, okay, I got to make something happen. I got to do
yeah,
something. So I get the ball, look up, and something told me to look to my left. Look to my left. I had a whole lot of receivers, whole lot of guys, big bodies over there blocking. So I
yeah,
said, just let me get to this left. Let me get to this left side. So hit the left side and up the sideline. It went and touchdown. So and then on the way back after the game, one of the players came up to me and was like, "B Mac, you made Sports Center." I'm like, "Bro, what?"
what?
He said, "You made Sports Center." So I like, let me see. So I'm
Yeah,
looking and I'm just like, like this is crazy. Like I really just made Sports Center,
yeah,
like off a crazy catch. Like I just made Sports Center. It was just like it was just then. I mean, it had me in shock. Like I was so shocked. I was just like, wow, like I really just made Sports Center my first year here in Arena League. Like I didn't expect to come here and to really do this. And it
yeah,
was just
right,
like ever since then, it's just been like, man, I just been like, God has been good. You know,
yeah.
I can't do nothing but thank God. He blessed me with this talent. So I can't do nothing but just thank God for it.
Yeah, right. And like you said, it's you got to take advantage of the opportunities there. So had you not taken the leap of faith to go to Springfield and join the team, you wouldn't have made Sports Center. So it's like, all right,
Yeah,
you got to put yourself in a situation to be successful.
you're right.
Well, we're coming up on the end of the regular season here. We've got a big game against Duluth, final game of the regular season. What are you looking forward to the most about this game, and what excites you about this team heading into the playoffs?
Man, like I always tell the guys, man, never underestimate anybody.
Right.
I always tell the guys, like we got to come in and play and do our 111. Everybody got to go in and do their jobs.
Yeah.
So apparently, when they came down here, we beat them on our home turf. So the mission is to go down there and beat them in their home spot. But I'm pretty sure, they gonna be fired up and ready to,
Yep.
go to war. They got their home crowd behind them. So we just looking to go in, and handle business. Don't get me wrong, Duluth is a very good team.
Oh yeah.
Like we're not looking to go in and just automatically overlook them. So like I told the guys. we treat every game from here on out like the first round of the playoffs.
Let's go.
So we all so it starts with us at practice. We all got to do our 111. We got to go there, have a good practice this week,
Right.
and get there and lock in and focus on the main details.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very fun game. I have that one circled on the calendar. I'll definitely be tuning in, and highly suggest anybody watching this before the game tunes in as well. It's gonna be a good one. But Brandon, I really appreciate you hopping on here. Socials to go follow Brandon on socials. It's gonna be in the description below. Whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, scroll down just a hair. It's right there. Go give him a follow. Tell him you heard him on Off the Wall. Go say hey. Before we get you out of here, any parting words for TAL fans, for Ozark Lunkers fans before the playoffs start?
Man, I mean, like I say, just man, keep pushing, man, and hopefully we can try to go get this win Saturday, man. Do what we got to do and bring the playoffs back home.
Yeah, the road to Arena Mania starts here, so I'm excited to see it unfold. And like I said, Brandon, really appreciate you hopping on here, and best of
Yes,
luck the
sir.
rest of the way. And take care. Have a great rest of your week. All right.
Yes, sir. You too.
Big thanks again to Brandon for joining the show and talking about his journey. He has been lighting it up in Ozarks. And as we touched on, the arrival of Tyler Kolka has only made that offense even more deadly and made his presence on the ground even that much more lethal. So, very exciting game between Ozarks and Duluth with some heavy playoff implications in terms of home seeding and all that stuff this upcoming weekend. So, very good game in the TAL. So, go make sure you check that out and go give him a follow on socials. Come, go let him know you heard him on Off the Wall. So we're going to dive into some of the games from the IFL this past weekend. The first game we're going to talk about was the Massachusetts Pirates going to Green Bay to face the Green Bay Blizzard, and Green Bay won this game 56-27. So Massachusetts needed to win this game in a bad way in order to stay alive in the playoff hunt. They just got smoked in this one, and they are out of the playoffs. They are knocking on the door of a potentially losing record, and that would be the first time in franchise history if they were to lose next week when Bay Area comes to town. But before we dive too far into the week ahead, let's talk about this game. For the Pirates, uh, this is just a rough game on offense, and it was kind of symbolic of how this offense has been through the majority of the year. If we're just being honest here, where on the ground they were able to be somewhat impactful and really able to punch it in. Specifically, Kenji Bahar had two QB sneaks or two QB runs, depending on the terminology and how you want to classify it, from like 2-3 yards out, and yeah, it seemed like passing the ball was just not their forte this year, and it just wasn't their forte in this game either. Kenji Bahar, he ended up going 13 for 20, 120 yards, one touchdown, and one interception, but things just looked a little miscombobulated all throughout the game. And in week 18, that's not what you want to be seeing. You want to see a little bit more precision. You want to see a little bit more of a relationship between receiver and quarterback. And it just never really seemed like there was a consistent, all right, this is my guy all throughout the year. It's like one week it was Owens, one week it was Redding, one week it was Zico, but never really anybody that they could really lean on in times of need, like in this game. So the passing attack was really lackluster for Massachusetts in this one, and Green Bay was able to score, and then score again. For Green Bay, Max Mailer had an unbelievable game in this one, had 183 passing yards, six touchdowns, and an interception. And Kamani Clark had 25 yards on the ground and a touchdown as well. So the Mailer, I keep getting in my head whether it's Myler or Mailer. I think it's Myler. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the MVP discussion with him is only getting more clear. And it seems like he needs to be the MVP of the IFL this year just because of what this offense of Green Bay has been able to do with him out there. It seems like he's consistently having a 5-6 touchdown game, both through the air and on the ground combined. And he is what keeps this offense going. And in a year where the defense hasn't been up to the usual standard that the Blizzard are used to, the offense has absolutely been lighting it up, leading the league in overall scoring, and Max is a major reason why. But TJ Davis is backup quarterback in who's been moonlighting as wide receiver for a majority of the year and been doing a really, really great job. He had six catches for 103 yards and a touchdown. Loa Patron had two touchdowns. Andre Williams had two touchdowns. Kamani Clark also had a touchdown through the air. And this Green Bay offense just looks unbelievable. I mentioned it probably like 2 months ago at this point, where like if you're buying stock in an IFL team, that was the time to buy stock in the Green Bay Blizzard, and they've just been skyrocketing. So they've got at least the 2 seed locked in for the playoffs. They could jump up to the one if they win this weekend and Quad City loses, which is a very real possibility of that happening. So Green Bay still has a little bit to play for. Massachusetts is only playing for, hey, let's get to 500 and not have a losing season. So not the season that Massachusetts may have wanted or expected going into this game, but Green Bay is rolling and they've just been playing unbelievable on offense, and they'll look to continue that next week. But the next game we're going to talk about is the San Diego Strike Force going all the way to Indiana to face the Fishers Freight. And Fishers won this game 49-40. So Fishers was able to jump out to a pretty big lead in this one early on. San Diego was hanging in there with them, right? They were trading blows, but I think the big pendulum swinging point was right before halftime. Nate Davis threw a pass to the corner of the end zone, just hoping for like a hey, let's see who can grab it. Let's see who can go up and get it. And defensive back Aaron Jackson, friend of the program, ended up intercepting the ball and running it coast to coast for a touchdown. So San Diego was down one possession heading into halftime, and then in the blink of an eye, they were down two possessions heading into halftime. And this meteoric rise of the Fishers Freight over this back half of the season continues, and it just makes you think like, man, if they could have just won half of those games and in that 9 game losing streak, they'd be right in that conversation for the playoffs right now in their inaugural season. But for San Diego, this wasn't all bad. They just couldn't catch up. There really wasn't much they could do to get back in this game. Nate Davis had a pretty good game coming back to his home state where he played college ball at Ball State. It was cool to see San Diego was practicing at Ball State, and there was lots of footage being uploaded to socials with Nate Davis, and doing interviews with the Ball State staff and everything. So that was pretty cool. Go check it out on San Diego socials if you haven't already. But he ended up throwing 4 touchdowns in this one and 215 yards. Couldn't really get much of a running game going just because they were down very early, and they just needed to play catch up. But John Maldonado had 2 touchdowns. Shane Hooks, 9 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown as well. So it wasn't all bad for San Diego. They're in the playoffs at this point, but had they won this game, they might be in the conversation for potentially hosting a home playoff game. But since they dropped this one, it's going to be they're going to be going on the road. It's just a matter of, are they going to Arizona or are they going to Bay Area at this point? But for Fishers, Felix Harper has just been the answer for Fishers, and just makes you think like, man, what if they could have gotten him a month into the season, maybe by week 5, week 6, like what could have been? Just because he's been unbelievable for them, well, through the air and on the ground. He doesn't light it up yardage wise through the air, but he's efficient. He doesn't really put the ball in danger. He had 3 passing touchdowns in this one. Then he also had 2 more on the ground. So he's a real dual threat. And when you add in weapons like Josiah King, Dominic Roberto, and JT Stokes also getting play in the running game, it's like, man, what could have been? Like this offense works when you have the right pieces, and it just took them a while to find those right pieces. But Isaiah Coulter at wideout, he had 6 catches for 33 yards and 3 touchdowns, catching all 3 of the touchdowns thrown by Felix Harper. So this was just a really strong, penultimate. That's when it's like second to last penultimate. Yeah, I'm going with it game for Fishers in their first inaugural season. I think overall it is a pretty successful first season, and they have plenty to build on. And I'll be interested to see who they end up bringing back next year. Is Felix Harper the guy that they build around? Do they bring in somebody younger and try to use the vet rule on some of the other pieces? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But Fishers has been a really fun team to watch, and they get in another knockdown drag out brawl with Iowa next week in the final week of the season. So that'll be a very exciting one to check out. But the next game we're going to talk about is the Arizona Rattlers going to San Antonio to face the San Antonio Gunslingers. And Arizona won this game 41-39. So a little bit closer than some people may have thought. I think the final spread was 8.5 for this game. In San Diego, San Antonio has been playing tough. They've been playing tough these past few weeks. They absolutely demolished Jacksonville the week before this one, and Arizona got off to a pretty strong start, but San Antonio was not going away. Like Joaquin Calazo had 4 touchdowns, 126 yards through the air, also contributed about 19 yards on the ground, and they were trying to get Keyshawn Harper going on the ground. He ended up getting a touchdown, but it was really going through the air, and this was a much more of a defensive battle than I think people Probably would have thought it would have been. Naquan Murray ended up having four catches and three of them being touchdowns. Khalil Rashad having a touchdown through the air as well. And San Antonio was playing tough defensively. They were able to keep this Arizona Rattlers offense in check for the majority of the game and give their team a chance to steal the win with time ticking down. But unfortunately, they missed that field goal that would have stolen the win and really sent Arizona home on a bad note. But Arizona just did what Arizona seems to do in the final weeks of the season every single year, find ways to win ball games. And Dalton Snead is one of those guys where put the ball in his hands and let it rip. Like let him do his thing. And this one, he was very, very efficient, very careful with the ball as well. 12 for 15 for 116 yards and three passing touchdowns, as well as 81 rushing yards and two touchdowns on the ground. So he's entering that mode where he's been the quarterback for the past two IFL national champions in Bay Area and Arizona last year. It's looking like Arizona's getting primed for another run here this upcoming season. But Jamal Miles, Corey Reed Jr., Trey Dixon all caught touchdowns in this one, and um, Snead is doing a really good job of distributing the ball evenly amongst the different receiving options and kind of keeping teams guessing. And Arizona is looking really good. They're definitely hosting a home playoff game, and as the two seed, and depending on what happens in the other playoff game in the West, they could end up hosting the Western Conference Championship yet again. So Arizona is looking really, really good. San Antonio was hanging in there, given every opportunity. The defense was giving them every opportunity to get back in it, but they just ultimately fell short offensively, and that's kind of been the theme for San Antonio up to this point of the season. So good, closely contested contest. I'm surprised I got that one out. Good, closely contested contest that went all the way down to the wire, and it was a pretty entertaining game. If you were a neutral party, I'm sure if you were a San Antonio fan, you were not enjoying yourself. But the next game we're going to talk about is the Quad City Steamwheelers facing the Iowa Barnstormers, and Quad City won this game 52-45. So Iowa, what are we going to do with you? This is another example of Iowa jumping out to an early lead. They were up 14-0. 5 minutes into the game, Keon Williams had a 30-yard touchdown catch, and then Caleb Street had a 19-yard interception return. And it was like, oh, who is this Iowa team? Like defense is making plays. They're able to put some points on the board themselves. 14-0 lead, 5 minutes into the game, and then Daquan Neal just kind of took over the game, and he had an unbelievable performance in this one, all on the ground. Daquan Neal didn't do much in the passing game because he really didn't need to. Only had 63 yards through the air, had an interception early on, but when you look at his rushing stats, 17 attempts, 115 yards, and six touchdowns on the ground. So as a team, the Quad City Steamrollers were averaging 6.8 yards per carry. That's with Daquan Neal getting touches. That's with Jared Ware Jr. getting touches. That's with Kevon Rudd getting touches. They were just able to do whatever they wanted on the ground, and they ultimately were able to pull ahead and just roll over this Iowa team. They were able to get some stops on the defensive side of the ball to be able to climb out of that early hole in the second half. They were able to flip that 14-0 deficit into a 12-point lead midway through the fourth quarter, and it was just too little, too late for the Iowa Barnstormers from there. So Quad City is sitting in the one spot in the East right now. Win next week, and they secure it, and the road to the IFL National Championship goes through Moline, Illinois. They lose this game, they still could clinch it if Green Bay loses, but at the very least, Quad City's getting a home game for the first round of the playoffs, and we'll have to see how it develops from there. But overall, really solid game from Quad City. The fact that they were able to come from behind in that early hole without really being too impactful in the passing game has got to be promising. The offensive line just did a really good job in this one, but I think you can kind of chalk it up to the Iowa defense just continuing to prove what they've been all year. Just not a very good squad, giving up a ton of points. Gave up 52 in this one, which is actually lower than their season average, believe it or not. But James Kahuna, quarterback for the Barnstormers, had a decent game on paper when you look at yardage and touchdowns, 228 yards and five touchdowns, but completion percentage wise, less than 50% of his passes were completed. He was able to find Keon Williams for three touchdowns and 86 yards, Raheem Harvey for a touchdown, DeMonte Martin for a touchdown, but not much of a running game to speak of. And when you don't have much of a running game and you're completing less than 50% of your passes, that opens the door for a team, especially a team as talented as Quad City, to be able to, get back in this game and ultimately pull ahead and come back. So Iowa, this is not the first time they've had a double digit lead early and then they end up being down double digits late in the game. They're in serious need of some type of shakeup in Des Moines, and it could be something as simple as bringing in a coordinator on either side of the ball to kind of take some of the weight off of Coach Muggs' shoulders. Could be a total overhaul. I don't know what that looks like, but Iowa's got to do something. They got to find a way to incorporate the rushing game next season, because this little trial of just being a pass team clearly did not work this year. I mean, let me take a step back. Offensively, it did work to an extent, but it wasn't very complimentary to what their defense was. If their defense was a top five unit, then they probably could have gotten away with it, and they probably have more than the one win that they have all year. But since they are a team that really struggles, they need the offense to be able to sustain long drives and be able to, keep the other defense on the field for extended periods of time. And they just weren't able to do that enough this season. So another bad Iowa loss, unfortunately, but Quad City is looking really good heading in to the final week of the regular season, and Daquan Neal is looking like he's fully recovered from his injury earlier this season, and we'll have to see if he runs wild in the last week of the regular season and heading into the playoffs as well. Next game we're going to talk about is the Jacksonville Sharks going to Oklahoma to face the Tulsa Oilers, and Tulsa won this game 47-38. So this one, it was looking like it was going to be a little bit of a back and forth slugfest, but Sam Casanova, quarterback for Tulsa, ended up taking over this game. Forgot to say friend of the program, ended up taking over this game, and he was able to connect with Isaiah Scott for a pair of touchdowns early to really get this offense flowing, and he was able to distribute the ball pretty well amongst the offense with Isaiah Scott getting two touchdowns, German Smith getting two touchdowns, Juwan Johnson getting a touchdown, Juju Augustine getting a touchdown, and it's just you sit back and look at the body of work that Sam Casanova has for this 2025 season, not just with Tulsa, but with Albany up to this point. He's sitting at 14-0 with a ton of touchdowns and very minimal interceptions and mistakes. And it's looking like Tulsa is built for a playoff run with the addition of Casanova and with the addition of Isaiah Scott to an already talented wide receiver group. And if they're able to kind of get this running game going a little bit more to, take some of the heat off of Casanova and open up that play action game, this offense can be very deadly. And when you pair them with a defense as talented as this Oilers defense is, coached up by Coach Marvin Jones, a friend of the program, Trey Harvey on the defensive side of the ball. You got Ulrich Jones on the defensive line. Like, they just got dudes all over that defense, where defense wins championships. And when you have a defense like Tulsa's matched with a quarterback the caliber of Sam Casanova, look out. Look out. The Eastern Conference had a chance to kick the Oilers while they were down and make sure they didn't make the playoffs, but they're going to be a tough out for anybody in the playoffs, as they make the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. So very exciting times in Tulsa. But Sam Casanova is no stranger to Jacksonville. He played for Jacksonville a few seasons ago, ended up leading them to an NAL championship in 2023. So Jacksonville very aware of what Casanova brings to the table and what he can do. And they just got chefed up by him. And on offense, they really couldn't do much through the air to match it. Tyler Huff ended up just going 5 for 15, 43 yards and two touchdowns. But on the ground was a totally different story. Tyler Huff ended up having 138 yards rushing, two touchdowns, nearly 10 yards a carry. But the Tulsa Oilers just had that bend but don't break mentality for the majority of the game. And they were able to keep this Sharks offense in check. And Tyler Huff was really impressive through the middle portion of the season. They ended up signing him, I want to say like week 8, and they kind of introduced him, and he got hot, and he was kind of the guy. But passing wise, he just hasn't been very good over the past couple of weeks. But rushing wise, he's been outstanding. He's a great dual threat quarterback, which complements the rule set of this IFL very well. But they just need a little bit more out of him passing the ball in order to be successful, in order to they've made the playoffs, but in order to upset no matter who they're facing, whether it's Green Bay, whether it's Quad City, They need to be able to pass the ball efficiently and get the ball into the hands of Karan Ashley, get the ball into the hands of Marcus Rogers, get the ball into the hands of Jaden Stoshak, and really open things up even more for this running game. Because right now, the recipe for beating the Sharks is hone in on the rushing game because the passing game doesn't really scare any teams if you look at their form over the past month or so. So Jacksonville's got a tough draw ahead. If they get Green Bay, they got boat raced by Green Bay. Green Bay dropped 70 on them. They split the series with Quad City, but last time they went to Quad City, they got absolutely boat raced as well. So it's going to be a tough situation no matter where Jacksonville ends up going in that first round of the playoffs. But it starts with the passing game. You gotta be a little bit more efficient than what they've been in order to make some noise, in order to be able to pull off the upset. But the next game we're going to talk about is the Bay Area Panthers taking on the Tucson Sugar Skulls. And Bay Area won this game in dominant fashion, 49-24. So early on, this was looking like it was going to be a repeat of the game they had earlier this season. That was like 60, was it like 68 to 57 or something? It's just an absurd back and forth game where Tucson's offense just exploded and Bay Area was like, all right, bet we're also going to explode. It was looking like it was going to be that type of game in the first quarter where both teams had 14 points apiece. And it was like, okay, buckle up, let's roll. But Tucson ended up scoring just 10 points the rest of the game, and Bay Area was able to keep their foot on the gas and ended up doubling up Tucson in this one. But for Bay Area, starts with Josh Jones, and if Max Myler wasn't having as dominant of a season that he's been having in Green Bay, it feels like Josh Jones would be the shoe-in for MVP this year. I think he's a strong contender for Offensive Player of the Year. What he's been able to do both on the ground and through the air. Last season, he was the running option for Naz, and you can check the tapes every week. I was begging Naz to get other people the ball, get other people involved, and it looks like this year he's got that, and it's really opened up his abilities as a passer and as a runner as well, where he's not taking so many hits. They've been able to get Josh Tomas involved in a big way, and he's been a very very good value add for Josh Jones. But Jones ended up having 195 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, along with 3 more rushing touchdowns to add to it. So 5 total touchdowns on the day. And yeah, it was just a very impressive game by this Bay Area offense. And they were able to lay it on when they needed to, and then they were also able to recognize the situation later on where it was like, okay, let's just get out of here. Let's get out of here with the win, and we'll take care of business, and we'll be on our way. They have a road trip across the country to Massachusetts next week for a game that means absolutely nothing for either team. So it's unfortunate that this game wasn't earlier in the year. But Bay Area has the 1 seed locked up, and Massachusetts is going to be fighting again to not have a losing record for the first time in franchise history. So it's going to be an interesting game to see the chess match that ensues, because in the NFL you can't really bench the offense, or you can't really bench the whole defense. Like, the roster just isn't big enough. So do we see Josh Jones for a couple drives, then they take him out? Do we see Josh Tomas for a couple drives, then they take him out? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Coach Keefe does personnel wise to try to preserve some of the legs from some of the guys and focus on the playoffs ahead. Because regardless of what happens, if they're 12-4 or 13-3 at the end of next week, they are the number 1 seed, and the road to the IFL National Championship goes through San Jose. But for Tucson, this is another game where they just couldn't really get out of their own way after the first quarter. George Reyna didn't have a great game in this one, only 120 yards, a passing touchdown, and 2 interceptions. On the ground, Reyna was able to do a little bit more, 63 yards, and Jameis Williams had 2 touchdowns on the ground, and they just really couldn't get much going. And I think that you got to give credit to the Bay Area defense. Joe Fouché and company have just been unbelievable all year up to this point, and it looks like they're in playoff form. They were able to really keep this Tucson offense in check and not really let them do some of the things that they've been able to do over the past month, 2 months or so, where leading into the season and the beginning of the season, Tucson's offense was just not good. And defensively, they were having to make a ton of plays and overperform just to keep them in games. But Tucson's offense was able to light it up towards the middle of the season and towards the end. But this week, they just couldn't really get things going, and they were on the outside looking in with a potential shot to make the playoffs a couple weeks back, but they've just gone on a skid, and they're on the outside looking in. So they won't be able to play play the national championship in their home arena or in their home season or home venue, excuse me. But yeah, Tucson took a step in the right direction after a not so great 2024 season, and we'll have to see what pieces they end up bringing back. Does George Reyna come back at quarterback? Do they bring back Drew Dixon, who's been performing really, really well? Do they bring back Trip Harrington? Lots of questions, but Tucson definitely an improvement year over year, but just not where they wanted to be, given some of the personnel that they brought in here. But the last game of the slate that we're going to talk about is the Northern Arizona Wranglers going to Henderson to face the Vegas Nighthawks. And Vegas won this game 58-29. So a good old double up. Um, the the biggest takeaway for this one was on the gambling side of things, where I posted about this on Instagram and TikTok. So go check it out with some of the breakdown of the plays. But the over under on this game was 86 and a half. They scored 44 points in the first three quarters, and it was looking like there's no chance this over hits. But wouldn't you know it, they scored 43 points in the fourth quarter alone to hit the over and to buy that half point. And it was awesome. So if you took the over, that was a big time win for you. It was just anything that could have gone right went right. Onside kick recovered, returned for a touchdown, driving down the field, just get punching it into the end zone, going for two when they absolutely did not need to be going for two. It was just unbelievable. But starting with Northern Arizona, they only scored 7 points in the first three quarters of this game, and the offense was showing promise about halfway through the season when Ramon Atkins got in the picture, but things have just kind of fallen apart over the last couple of weeks. Atkins didn't have I don't want to say he had a bad game, but I guess he had a bad game up until garbage time, and he was able to add to his tally with 159 yards, a touchdown, and two interceptions. One of those interceptions was returned for a touchdown by friend of the program, Bryce Hampton. And the running game, they weren't really able to get things going as well as you would have hoped that they would have. And I think part of that can be contributed to this Vegas defense. It feels like Vegas's defense has been a bunch of hills and valleys all throughout the year, where there's been times where it's like, okay, we got ourselves a little squad here. Like, this defensive line is able to get after the quarterback and able to make life miserable for the opposition. And in this game, they were able to do that. They were able to apply a lot of pressure. But there's other weeks where it's like, man, where is this defense that we saw last week? Like, they're just not there. But Northern Arizona, I like the core that they have. I like Nolan Suso. I like Arlen Bruce. I like Deshaun Stoudemire. If Ramon Atkins can come back for a full season next year, I think it's an exciting core that they can build around and go from there. But this is just a not great season for the Wranglers, and we'll have to see what the future holds for them. And this offseason is going to be a very interesting one to see what direction they take, personnel wise, coaching wise, and all of that. But for Vegas, Jaden Delora at quarterback had a really strong game in this one, 165 yards and two touchdowns. And truthfully, he didn't have to do a ton in this one, just because every single way they could have scored, they did. You look at that onside kick return for a touchdown. You look at the interception return for a touchdown. They had, was it one, two, three, four rushing touchdowns on the day. So Jaden Delora has been a really good game manager, and I know that can be a dirty word in football sometimes, game manager, but it's not a bad thing in this situation where Jaden Delora was able to really facilitate and take care of the ball as much as he could. He did have that interception that was not great, but yeah, overall, I think this Vegas offense flows very, very well with him at the helm, and I think they'll have to continue to keep him out there and continue to let him develop, because he's a very, very talented thrower of the football, and he's able to really get it into his playmakers' hands. Specifically, Quentin Randolph, he's just having an unbelievable all IFL year. He had both touchdowns through the air in this one. And then he got 5 catches for 67 yards, along with CJ Wyndham, friend of the program, 5 catches for 60 yards as well. So this Vegas offense is looking really good. It'll be interesting to see what they do next week, just because do they fight to try to get the 3 seed to get Arizona first? Do they just kind of say, hey, let's just stay healthy, let's accept our fate as the 4? I don't know. It'll be an interesting chess match, just like some of the other games, to see, do they play the rest versus rust game? Do they just play like any other game and just try to build that momentum into the playoffs, because this is a very rare situation where there aren't playoff spots up for grabs heading into the last week of the season. Like all the playoff spots are already claimed. It's just a matter of who's the three and who's the four in each conference, which is super unique. So it's not going to be. It'll be a fun week in the IFL up ahead, but I don't think it's going to be one of the more competitive ones, just because it seems like the teams that are in the playoffs and locked in probably going to play it a little more safe than the teams that may have something to prove. So you may see a lot of the um, Fishers, San Antonio, Iowa. A lot of those players are going to be auditioning, for lack of a better term, for next year, whether it's with their current team, whether it's to get something on tape for wherever their next step may be. So this could be a unique opportunity for some of the lower performing teams to really pounce on some of the higher performers that may not be giving it 100%. And yeah, so I would look for some upsets all throughout this upcoming week. But the last week of the IFL regular season is upon us, and the playoffs will be here starting next week. So it'll be a super exciting time in the IFL, and I'm excited to get things going and to see how it shakes out. All right, next we're going to talk about the Arena League, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was not able to catch the action from this past weekend. Did a little bit of traveling and was able to catch up on the IFL action, but not quite the TAL or the TAL, just the TAL. TAL. We're not able to catch up on the TAL action from this past week, but what we can do is talk about the week ahead. It's the last week of the regular season. There's some playoff implications with a lot of these matchups. It seems like three of the seeds are pretty much locked in at this point. At least three of the teams, I should say, are pretty much locked in at this point. It just determines this week determines what seed people are at. The Ozarks Lunkers versus the Duluth Harbor Monsters. That's a massive game. The winner of that game is the one seed, and the entire playoffs rolls through them. So that's going to be a very good matchup to take a look at. The defending champs in Duluth, our friend of the program now, Brandon Mackey at running back, and then Tyler Kolka at quarterback for the Ozarks Lunkers. It's going to be a very, very fun matchup. So I heavily suggest checking that one out. It's going to be a very good one and a lot to play for between those two teams. Then we also have the Iowa Woo taking on the Hot Springs Wise Guys, and Iowa's in the playoffs. It's just a matter of, are they going to be the 2, 3, or 4? So there's a bunch of different scenarios where they win this game. If this happens, then this happens. But if they lose this game, then this happens, and this happens. They could be the 2, 3, or 4, depending on how certain things shake out in this one. But they're definitely in the playoffs. But for Hot Springs, they're in a situation where if they win, they're the 2 seed. If they lose, it's looking like they'll be the 4 seed. But if they lose and some other things happen, it could be a very dangerous situation where Hot Springs is either the 2 seed or not in the playoffs at the end of this upcoming weekend. So it's going to be a very interesting one for them, and they just got to take care of business. And if they win, they're the 2 seed. But the last game is going to be a little bit chaotic, or I should say, the first game of the weekend is going to be a little bit chaotic with the St. Joseph because St. Joseph's Goats taking on the Eau Claire Axemen. Eau Claire's out. They're 1-6 at this point. They're just hoping to play spoiler for St. Joseph's. But if St. Joseph's wins this game and Iowa wins this game, wins their game, St. Joseph sneaks into the playoffs as the 4 seed. So St. Joseph's needs Iowa to help them out, and St. Joseph's needs to take care of business as well. So it's looking like Ozarks, Duluth, and Iowa are locked in at this point. The last spot in the playoffs just comes down to, is it going to be Hot Springs or St. Joseph's? So it's going to be a very fun weekend in TAL. And if you haven't checked out TAL, please make sure to go do so. Go check it out. They post the links on their socials, on the fan club website, as well as on YouTube. So go check out the game. Let me know in the comments what you think after you check it out. And yeah, it's the last week of the regular season for TAL, last week of the regular season for the IFL, before the playoffs start the week after. And it's going to be a very, very fun time. And that's the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to check it out. Big thanks again to Brandon Mackey for joining the program and talking through his football journey, talking about this season in TAL, and that highlight play he was able to get on SportsCenter with is very, very cool. So big shout out to him. Go follow him on socials. Go let him know you heard him on Off the Wall. And yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribing to the channel, liking the video, sharing it with a friend, leaving comments, doing all the things and stuff. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure you're liking the show, sharing it with a friend, and then rating the show on the show page, preferably 5 stars, but hey, do you? If you're not already, please make sure you're following us on socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. We're on X, X/Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all the things and stuff. So if you're there, we're there. go give us a follow there and come say hi, come join the conversation. So there's only 24 hours in a day, and the fact that you chose to spend like an hour and a half-ish, hour and 15, I'm gonna go hour 18. That's how long I think this one's gonna be. Means a lot. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come hang out and come say hi. So got some cool things in the works and excited to work with some fellow content creators in the space in the very near future. So yeah, let's have a great final weekend of regular season IFL and TAL. Enjoy the weekend of ball. Come say hi on socials, and we'll see you next week.